Hi guys, today I wanted to show you a quick little or a new little program here, or I guess application or whatever you want to call it. A new thing that Google is offering called Jamboard. And so actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my Google Drive. And of course when you come to your Google Drive, it's going to load up here, of course if we don't have any issues or anything. But you can see this, the new button. If you click on the new button, of course you got all your typical stuff that loads up, and then you come down here to more. And then you come down here to Jamboard. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click on a Jamboard. Alright, some of you may be already familiar with this and what it does and everything, but Jamboard's a pretty cool little thing because this is like just an interactive space that students can collaborate on. It's kind of you can think of it as a bulletin board basically, but it's got some neat things like you can do whiteboard drawing on there and you can pick different styles of pens and different colors and everything, and I can draw then on the board. And of course you got your eraser here that you can use. So if I get everything erased here. But the cool thing with this can be used for, and I know a lot of people want to use a Padlet to be able to have students collaborate on things. The cool thing with this is you can kind of create a similar thing to a Padlet here with these sticky notes. Alright, so if I click on sticky note, it's going to come up with this, and it's got several different colors I can choose from here. But let's say, for instance, I'm wanting the students to make an argument for the pros and cons of some issue. So I'm just going to call this pros. I'm going to save it, and now let's say I make another one here, and I'm going to call it cons. Alright, so I got those two made. Now what I can do is I can drag it around and move it around, and of course the cool thing with this too, if you're working with like younger students and you shared this with them to where they'd be able to do this, you could have letters on here, and maybe I'm gonna say I want them to be able to spell a word. So you could have different manipulatives here or whatever up here that they can mess around with and move things around to where they want to move it. And the cool thing is too, and admittedly I can't show you on this right now, when you move these things, like if you had other students on here, when they go to move it on the actual object itself, their little icon, like I have this little Abraham Lincoln icon for myself, their little icon will show up on there so you can see who's moving this. So if you're working with like a small group of students and you share this, you put it on Google Classroom and give everybody, or basically let everybody have editing privileges to it, then they could all be playing around with it at the same time with you. But I guess like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and delete these ones. And of course there's different things you can do as far as like making the order of putting some in the front and the back, all that stuff. You can duplicate them, all that. And so I'm going to go ahead and delete these. But now if I did the pros and cons, then I could say, okay, this group of students, I want you to work on this, and you come up with some different ideas. So then they would be like, okay, well, I'm going to put this in yellow since it's going to be a pro, and I could say, this is a pro on this topic. So I can save it, and then they can move it there, and then of course they can make it different sizes, make it a little bit bigger, make it a little bit smaller, all that stuff, and they can move everything around on there. And so again, I could title this Jamboard, maybe I'll call it pros and cons list, whatever I want to call it there. And then what I could do is I come back here over to my Google Classroom, and in my Google Classroom I'm going to come here to where's my class? There's my experimental class. And I'm going to go ahead and create an assignment. And since this is a Google product, I can go ahead and just, insert this right there. So pros and cons, and maybe I'll call this group 1. All right, so group 1 is going to have this one, and so I'm going to go ahead and insert it from my Google Drive. So there's my pros and cons list, and what I'll do is I'll set it as students can edit the file, so that way they can actually move things around on here. Now, I maybe wanted to name it maybe pros and cons list group 1, and then I could do, or what I could do is just come back here and then I could just make a copy of it, and I call it pros and cons list group 2. And so then when I go back to assign it, I could just assign it to different people, different groups. So, here we go with this one. What I could do then is come up here to my students, click on my students, and choose which students I want to have that assignment. And then I could assign it to them. And then I'd come back and do another one with group 2, and then say, okay, group 2 is going to be this, 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 and then this student. And I could just keep on going and, making the different groups and giving the different groups different Jamboards to look at. And then, of course, when we're all together, have them present their Jamboard to show everybody what they came up with on their collaborative board. All right, so anyway, it's kind of a cool little tool to use, and hopefully that's helpful and something that for you to consider using with your students. So thanks.